Mike Moore Media.
I'm talking to Crystal Talley, Program Director for Surgical Technology and Central Sterile Processing at Rockingham Community College. Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Great, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Well, I want to find out all about the program, but before we do that, I want to find out a little bit more about you because you've been at RCC a pretty good while, I understand.
I have. I've actually been here almost 15 years in May.
Well, congratulations on that. Now, did you start out doing something differently than what you're doing now?
So I know my story will probably be kind of different than you'll hear from most people, but interesting still the same.
Okay.
I had no idea what surgical technology was when I was in college. Like most kids, you don't really know, what you want to do.
Yeah, sure.
So one of my mother's friends, she actually was a surgical technologist at Baptist Hospital, now Wake Health, in Winston-Salem. And one day we were sitting at lunch, and she just kind of told me about what she did on a daily basis, and kind of hooked me from then. So I actually went through the surgical technology program here at RCC. Mm-hmm. So I graduated with a surgical technology diploma. I worked at Alamance Regional over in Burlington for about 8 years. While I was there, I actually precepted students for RCC.
Wow.
So, I had been connected with the college for years. Mm-hmm. And then the lady that had the position of the clinical coordinator before me, she came up to me one day at Alamance and said, I'm going to be leaving. I'm retiring. We've got this position coming open. I think you'd be great for it. I applied and got it. Mm-hmm. So I worked as a clinical coordinator for a long time and then have been program director here for the last 3 years. So I guess you could say I was a clinical coordinator for the college for about 12 and then become the program director about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. On 4
yeah,
now, actually.
that is an interesting journey. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Crystal. I appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate the background. Absolutely. Now, I still don't know a lot about what you're doing, so I'm ready to learn. What is surgical technology and central sterile processing?
Okay, so basically, surgical technology or surgical technologists, the people that work as the members of a healthcare team, they work in surgery. So they're working with surgeons, RNs, anesthesia in the operating room. Mm-hmm. So basically their task before surgery is to set up a sterile environment for every single patient. So they set up a table of sterile instruments for the surgery, and then during the surgery, they're kind of like the doctor's extra set of hands.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So we're helping, pulling things out of the way for the doctor to see, helping retract organs and things like that back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
And then after surgery, we kind of, help clean up, and then we start all over again with another patient. Mm-hmm. So that's the surgical technology part.
Okay.
The central sterile part is actually a separate career, but it's still in the operating room. So we kind of work together. So after that surgery is completed, there's a separate department that we take the instruments and equipment that we use during surgery that got dirty or contaminated during that case. We take that to the central sterile processing department where central sterile processing techs clean the instruments, which is called decontamination, and then they sterilize them, which makes them free from all the germs and bacteria so that we can use them on the next patient. Mm-hmm. So their job is also very important because we want to make sure that we have sterilized equipment and instrumentation to use on every patient.
Of course, yeah. Well, any of us who have been in that operating room setting know the people, but now I know, have a kind of a name to put with that. So that's good.
Right.
How do you apply for the surgical technology program at RCC?
All right, so when you want to do surgical technology, you need to get either a diploma or associate's degree. And we like that to be from an accredited program, because then that allows you to get a certification at the end. So here at RCC, we are accredited. So basically, they're going to come in, they're going to put their application in to the college. After that, they're going to, wherever they place, if they're college ready, they can go ahead and apply to the program. There are a couple of classes that you have to get out of the way, which is Med 120, which is a medical terminology class, so that you can understand what we're talking about once you get into the surgical program, and a English class. You also have to place into a college math, but you don't have to take a college math. So basically, we're making sure that you're ready to come in.
Mm-hmm.
After that, you fill out a candidate review form. You turn it into the admissions office, and that process ends usually around April. And then that's when we pick our students that will be coming in for the fall. So we start a new class every fall.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it takes how long to complete the surgical technology program then?
So if once the time they enter, if they elect to get the diploma in surgical technology, it is 1 year. Mm-hmm. If they do the associate's degree, it is 5 semesters. So 3 semesters for the diploma, 5 semesters for the degree.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is this a program for all ages, male, female? What kind of ratio do you have there?
Well, we constantly have a lot of the perception that it's only, females working in healthcare, but we actually do have a pretty good amount of men that work right alongside those females. We use, or I don't want to say use, let me rephrase that. The men tend to work well with the orthopedic surgeons and the neurosurgeons, because it's just kind of a more, like a manly, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you get to use tools, so more hands-on.
I understand.
So they get to use drills and saws and stuff like that in orthopedics. So we do have a lot of men that are coming through the program now where we used to not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you've given us a pretty good idea in the hospital setting. You've just mentioned some orthopedic work there. Are there any other areas where a surgical technologist would work?
Yeah, so mainly, you got your regular hospitals, which are going to be your ORs or your operating rooms. We have some people who work at surgeons or physicians' offices, assisting them in the office, outpatient surgery centers, dentist office. You can also go into sales, like selling medical equipment and supplies, or education, of course.
Mm-hmm. Wow, so there really are a lot of opportunities.
And right, they can work full-time, they can work part-time, so a lot of different options. One of the options I always like to talk about is the option of traveling. So once you work as a tech for a little while and get some experience, you can travel. And it's just a lot of money out there to travel and just, to go out and see the world. So we do have a lot of people that travel as surgical technologists now.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the money. What is the pay? What are we talking about for a surgical technologist?
All right, so for a surgical technologist, the median annual wage is around $49,000 a year, or $24 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Very good. Now, this program there at Rockingham Community College, in case you're just joining us, talking to Crystal Talley about the Surgical Technology and Central Sterile Processing Program there at RCC. Do we need to cover anything else on the surgical end of things before we move along?
No, just that it is one of the best kind of hidden careers around. Everyone seems to think that there's nurses and doctors that work in the OR, and we just want to continue to change that perception, that there are a lot of other jobs out there for students or careers.
Right, okay.
At the hospital.
All right. Now, how do you apply to take the Central Sterile Processing course, and what are some of those courses you offer there at RCC?
Okay, so the Central Sterile Processing course is a course where you can come straight into, so you don't have to have some of the prerequisites you do on the surgical technology side. However, it is a certificate, not a diploma. So if you were looking to apply to that program, you would go onto the RCC webpage under the Admissions and Aid tab and click Health Science Information, and then there's a little tab underneath it that says Central Sterile Processing, and it takes you right to it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that sounds easy enough. Okay, now, any other areas there that they work in we need to define?
So our Central Sterile Processing, all of those places we mentioned before, like the doctor's offices, physician's office, surgeon's office, dentist offices, hospitals, and surgery centers, all have the need to process surgical instruments. Mm-hmm. So there's also jobs openings at those same places for them also.
Okay, great. Is there a big difference in pay or pretty similar?
Well, since it's a certificate instead of, a diploma, which they're going to go to school for a little bit longer, there is a little bit of a difference. Mm-hmm. So a sterile processing tech, their median average salary is around $34,000 a year, or about $16 to $17 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it sounds like just you sharing with us how you got interested in this, Crystal. It sounds very rewarding work, that's for sure. And I'm thinking that, the people that go through these programs there at RCC have a real interest in that and just making a difference and helping people.
Right. I mean, you have several patients that you work with every day, and one of the best things about surgeries, especially when it's an elective surgery, they're coming in to have a surgery that they're planned, is when they leave, they feel better. So, you know that you've helped that many people that day.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Well, we have about a minute and a half left, Crystal, maybe to wrap up. Some things you wanted to mention?
Just that, it's Central Sterile Processing and surgical technology. They're both in the hospital. We know that those are careers that are going to stay because we need health care. So, it's just a good place to advance your career. So if you, want to start off even as a younger person and kind of make your way through the hospital, one of those are a good stepping stone, or, it's also a good place to kind of land as a career or maybe even a second career, because we have all different age groups and, men and women come into the program.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, this has been very informative. I've learned a lot. Thank you for sharing this information with us, Crystal. And congratulations on your 15 years coming up. I think that's great. That's wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a great 15 years.
Well, and as you said, there's always a demand. The need is there all the time in healthcare, and we've just kind of covered one area here today, but other programs there as well at Rockingham Community College that are offered. Crystal, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, and hope all goes well in the upcoming time there.
Thank you, and you have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, well, I hope you were listening closely and found out about some of the people that are there, key people in the background when you're in a operation setting there in the hospital or doctor's office, that type thing. The good work they're doing in the surgical technology and central sterile processing program at Rockingham Community College, where you start local, go far.